My name is Shannon Hutchison and my pronouns are she, her, and I am doing a video series around labels. And the reason that I started this was because I am part of the 2S LGBTQIA+ community, and I struggled for a long time to come out. What really held me back from wanting to come out was that I was scared that I would be defined by that label. But after I came out, I started to have deeper conversations with people around labels and how they are impacting them and how it's impacted them, and really wanting us to move the world together. So I think a way we can do that is through stories and through understanding.
I'm Kadence. I'm a daughter. I have my own service dog. I have a sister and 2 step siblings. I just started at Mount Royal. I'm hoping in the second semester to go into general studies just to find out what else there is.
So what is a label that you carry that has been an obstacle for you?
Probably being in a wheelchair.
Yeah. What is like the most frustrating thing or something that just frustrates you in your day-to-day with it?
Not being that normal, like watching my friends like walk around, play sports. They always end up like pushing me in a chair, and I seem like that bother for them, or like when I want to get somewhere, they have to push me.
Right.
And like, you know, like it's harder to get me around like through the grass and through the rocks. And
So feeling like a bother.
yeah.
And then feeling left out sometimes because of it, for sure. And then what would you say is kind of your frustration with society when it comes to like other people with you being in a wheelchair?
I think that some people like don't learn to move out of my way
Okay.
or whatever, so they just like walk straight into me and I have to go around them.
I remember that one time we went to a restaurant and you and Addie had to get carried down the stairs, which I'm sure happens all the time. It's like the restaurant's not even including you unless you find a way around it.
And like wanting to go somewhere that isn't accessible, I have to either walk, like go away from it, or I have to be carried up the stairs. And yeah, even if there is no like handicap bathroom, I have to get like someone to carry me into the bathroom.
And that almost goes back to what you were saying before about feeling left out, right? What do you think society could do to make it easier for you, to make you feel included?
I think that like companies and stuff, they should think about people in wheelchairs, or
Right.
like allergies, even like all of that. And I think people should be like smart enough to like actually move for someone that can't really get around them easily.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, can you just move? Yeah, I remember I saw a cartoon, your mom might have even sent it to me, about like how all the new scooters around Calgary, but then they were parking on the laneways, so then if you're in a wheelchair you can't get around it. So it's like fun for everybody who's on here, but then blocking it for people in wheelchairs, right? So being in a wheelchair, how do you think it's opened your mind up to different perspectives?
I think actually like seeing how people like treat you when you're in a chair. Like when I go out, all I do is get stared at.
Right. When people see people in a wheelchair, like what assumptions do they sometimes make?
Oh, that person is disabled, or oh, that whatever that person has is like I can get it, or like stuff like that.
Right. Which would be hard for you to like think that and know that. And so you also were talking about people staring at you. I know like sometimes when Steph and I are holding hands and stuff and people are looking, you're like, it's just normal, like just keep moving, right? Yeah. I think the advice is simple, but what would your advice to people be about when they see you in a wheelchair?
I don't even know, honestly, because when they like children mostly, when they stare at me, I just stare at them back.
Right.
But like, I'm fine with them looking at the chair. I don't care.
Right.
But if they stare at me, then that makes me feel like I'm like an issue. Like I look like a problem or something.
Right.
Like if you're walking around like at the mall or at the store and people are looking down, it like kind of is disrespectful. But if they would like look at you, make eye contact, and then keep walking,
Yeah.
give you a smile or whatever.
Right. Just like you would with anybody. Yeah. Can you describe a time in your life where that was really difficult for you with being in a wheelchair?
I'd say when I first started using a chair, that was when I first got into high school. The teachers told me I wasn't allowed to walk around. I had to stay in my chair because they didn't want any like accidents. So that was like my first time actually using it. And I remember like people I knew like all my life, they would like stare at me more or like ask me why you in that now, or like stuff like that. And it made me feel uncomfortable and like someone they didn't recognize.
Right. That's powerful to say that. Someone they didn't recognize. Because you're with people that you've been with forever. And you're like, why is this happening, right? Yeah. Yeah, you're the same person. So, yeah. In that moment, when you're feeling like that, what do you think people could have done?
I guess just like treated me how I was the person before, I guess. Maybe in a nice way, being like, why are you in the chair now? So just being like, why are you in the chair?
Right.
Yeah, I think some friends did step back for me, but like all of them still kept talking to me. They just all kind of stepped away from me.
Right. They were like trying to navigate it, kind of.
Yeah.
And you just wanted them to be there like they always were. But can you think of moments in your life where people have been allies to you? And what did they do?
I would say my old friend Sydney. When I first met her, it was actually in a yoga class. She somehow, I don't know how, but she knew I had some sort of disability, and she was actually helping me. She was like standing behind me and trying to help me. And she was like, after that, we were like best friends. She would like, me and her would do everything together. Even for grad, she was with me all grad, and even for prom. She took me to prom and like, she went everywhere with me. And then after that, I don't know what happened, she backed off, but she was like a great person in my life.
Yeah, just being a friend. And I feel like just helping you with yoga and stuff is probably building trust with both of you, right?
Yeah.
For people who aren't friends, how do you think that they can be allies to people who are in wheelchairs?
I think just like helping them out, kind of.
Yeah.
Not staring at them. Yeah, just like treating them like actual people.
Yeah. Again, so simple, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If, let's say you're like out in public and you're struggling to, let's say there's like, because it's never good curbs or anything, and you're struggling to get up, would you want a stranger to come help you? Would you want them to come and just say, oh, do you need a hand? Do you think?
I don't know, because sometimes I do get that, but it also makes me feel like uncomfortable because it's like a stranger.
Right.
You're like, are you gonna like run off with me?
That's fair. I would never have thought that, but of course that does make a lot of sense. Yeah, so then there's like kind of a safety thing that goes with it. Yeah. Is there Any like other advice you would want to tell people?
I think just like treat everyone the same. Like everyone is human and same with people in chairs. So I don't understand why like wheelchairs have to be like someone else and people standing have to be like someone else. No, it's like I don't get it.
Yeah, like why does it have to be so separated? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, just treat people like human beings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so simple, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think I'm just curious, what do you think gets in the way of people treating people like human beings?
I think like because a lot of people like are judgy or they want to seem like the cool kid or something, and they think having like someone in a wheelchair in their friend group is like not cool.
Right.
So that's why they kind of like push those kind of people away.
Right. How do you think we could change people who are being super judgy and feeling like it's not cool? Like,
because you don't see many like wheelchair actors.
right.
So it's all like people standing up and doing like parties and stuff. You never see anyone in a chair.
Right. But it is true, like as soon as you see, let's say you don't know somebody in a wheelchair, or you don't know somebody who's Black, or like you don't know somebody from a certain group, you make assumptions about them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then media does have such a power. You see somebody in a movie that's like really cool, who then suddenly it like almost raises the status, which is really sad, but it's true.
Yeah.
And where do you see kind of, I guess, hope in the world when it comes to inclusivity? And like, have you seen movement to include people more? Have you seen any progress in like restaurants and companies?
I think there's a long way to go.
Yeah.
I see like there could be an accessible restaurant, but because I'm allergic to gluten, when I go in there, I ask if they have gluten-free and they say no. Then it's kind of like they're excluding that diet part of everything.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And there's tons of people that need gluten-free now
Oh,
too,
yes.
right? Anything else you want to add?
No.
Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. You did really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. The big reason that we're wanting to do this is I think a lot of times people want to help. I like to think that people have good hearts. They want to help and they want to understand people, but they don't know how to take that step, don't know how to be an ally. They don't know what questions to ask, what questions not to ask. And I'm hoping like through this series that people are able to watch it and maybe take that next step.